For more is political analyst Hakki Ocal, and he joins us now live from here in Istanbul. Thank you so much, sir, for being with us here on the program today. Now, Erdogan just recently came back from Russia, and he's now in Ukraine. Both Zelensky and Putin have their demands, and Erdogan has somewhat become a bridge in bringing the two sides closer and closer to the negotiating table. What do you think the determining factor will be that will kickstart that very much needed round of peace talks?
Honesty. That is the rule of the game Erdogan is trying to establish as far as two countries are concerned. Also, United Nations is there, and Erdogan is proving to the whole nation's international security apparatus or Security Council establishment of the United Nations that individual countries are also very important in this process. Now, the basic or simplest assumption could be that Erdogan is trying to enlarge or to go to the second phase of grain deal, but I think there is more to it. This time, Guterres and himself, Erdogan, they are going to establish a new step towards the permanent peace, permanent or quasi-permanent ceasefire. This is very important. I think this is what they are trying to achieve this time.
What do you think that next step would look like? Clearly, both sides have to make some sort of concession during these negotiations.
The first concession would be enlarging this grain deal or commercial deal towards Russia and allow Russian farmers and industrialists export a little more, because now there are total blackout on the Russian commerce. They would like to have some leeways in this straitjacket. If the world can achieve this, and then Erdogan and Guterres can sit down, they go to Moscow, I'm sure, they will sit down with President Putin and they will convince him that this is not a winnable war and he has to declare the peace. He has to stop this peace, as Reagan, remember, called on Soviet leaders, tear down this wall, Mr. President. I think they are going to tell him that stop this war, Mr. President.
Right, and there are worries now that there could be a nuclear disaster, and Guterres is calling for the demilitarization of the area around the nuclear plant in Zaporizhzhia. Do you think that Erdogan will play a role here in making that happen, given the success of the grain deal?
Yes, Erdogan is right now, or Türkiye is trying to capitalize on this success of the grain deal. And second thing should be the partial demilitarization of Ukraine. Russia must have seen by now that they are not going to enlarge anywhere behind the Donetsk area. So they have to be very careful about these nuclear reactors, and we especially Black Sea people, do not need any second Chernobyl disaster. So it is a very important step that they are going to talk about if they are going to be able to see Mr. Putin himself.
All right, and we are hearing now that Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan has entered Lviv. He has arrived in Lviv, where he's going to meet with Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky and Antonio Guterres. Hakki Ocal, thank you so much for joining us here on TRT World.